I have to tell you an incredible story about a close Talmud of mine, of David Melamed. He recently moved to Florida, and he called me up a few days ago and told me that his father died during Corona. His father's name was Moshe ben Or. He died during Corona and was buried in America. And just last week, they moved his body to Eretz Israel. And after 3 years being buried in the soil of America, they moved his body, and it was completely intact. It's completely intact. And this doesn't happen. This is not something within the confines of nature. A body in the ground rots. Yeah? And if someone's body did not rot, that means they're a tzaddik. That means they're a tzaddik. Moshe ben Or Melamed, right, was nifted 3 years ago during Corona. He was a Baal Tshuva in his 50s, and he spent the next 20 years of his life learning Torah and being Amal in Torah. And he was Zoicha to his son, who's a Talmud Chacham and a tzaddik. Um, he's also single, by the way. If anyone's looking for a good shidduch, yeah, he's single, Tam Chacham and Tzaddik, and he's my partner and my sefer Tekanas Shavim, getting out tshuvas for Bali Tshuva. So his father um, was found intact, and I asked, "How's this possible?" They say the story about the Vilna Gaon and very great tzaddikim. How is it possible that a person in our times could have such an open miracle? And he told me a few things which I'd like to share with you. Number one was very clear. The pasuk in Mishlei says is that jealousy causes a person's bones to rot, right? And he wasn't jealous. He wasn't jealous of other people. His heart was clean from the attribute of jealousy. And we've spoken about that before. When a person's heart is clean from kina, ataiva, covet, and kina is jealousy, then the shechina rests in your heart. When the shechina rests in your heart, then you're a merkava to the shechina. You're a chariot for the divine presence, and this helps your body stay intact when when we leave this world. That's number one. Number two is that he didn't speak in shul, and this is a very very great mila. I was I was visiting a very big town chacham, one of the great Talmid Chacham of Yerushalayim, last week, and I was zocheh to be involved with a certain mitzvah with this Talmid Chacham, and I wanted to speak to him about it, and he said, "Let's go out of the shul," even though it was a mitzvah. But when you're talking about a mitzvah, it's very easy to get from one topic to the next and talk about topics that are not meant to be discussed in shul. So he asked that we should leave the shul, and this is a very, very great thing. They say, by the way, that the reason the Holocaust affected the Ashkenazim, not the Sephardim, because the Sephardim are very, very careful about speaking in shul. And when I come to America, I more often daven by Sephardim, by Ashkenazim. My parents are zocheh to live right across the street from the great Bukharian shul, Beit Gavriel, where turning time started. When I daven, I'm zocheh to sit next to Rav, the Kol Yaakov father, the the great um, the great person who gave birth to the stars of turning time. And it's just such a tainug to daven in this shul, Beit Gavriel. They spend half an hour on Karbanos. Yeah, I can have to admit, it's hard for me to spend half an hour on Karbanos, but just the fact they daven slowly and methodically, and people don't talk Dvarim B'Telem in that shul. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. So that was the second thing. And the third thing, of course, was he was careful about his speech. Shmir Saloshan. Mi ya'ish achavetz chaim oyev yam v'leres tov. Who is the person who loves life to see good? The more bad we speak, the more we destroy the proper outlook on life, yeah, and we don't see things the way we're meant to. So and the fourth thing, of course, is Torah. So these four things, Moshe ben Or was a hidden tzaddik our time, right? His body was just incurred, I think, interred, I think they call it, and found to be completely intact. Number one, 20 years of Amelis for Torah, starting becoming a Baal Tshuva in his 50s, and learning Torah by Amelis for 20 years. Number two, no jealousy. His heart was clean of jealousy. The Shekhinah rested in his heart, and therefore he was a makava to the Shekhinah. Number three, no Sikha Batela, no 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 Dvarim Batalim in Shul, no idols chatter in Shul. And number four, Shmir Salashim, being careful about your speech. And this is how we can be. And all of these things, we can do it also. We don't have to be jealous of other people. You know, one person's, what Plony has nothing to do with me. There's no reason to be jealous. But this is human nature. We have to overcome that. Smear Salashin, to say bad things about people. We all know we're not supposed to say bad things about people. Right? Not to speak in shul. We all know we're not speaking in shul, especially the men with their tefillin on. We're not supposed to say Dvarim B'Teilim with our tefillin on in shul. Right? And number four, Torah. We all know that we're supposed to be learning Torah as much as possible. Every opportunity we have, choose the time to learn Torah. So we were Zoche, and I'm sure there are other things. These are just the things that are revealed. That Moshe Melamed, Moshe ben Ora, Tzadik in our time. I was never Zoche to meet him, but I hear it from his son, wonderful things about him. You never know. The person sitting next to you in shul, he might look like a push the yid, but as my Rebbe, Rav Safani says all the time, it's not pashut to be a pashut yid. It's not a simple thing to be a simple yid. And we see that even the most simple, somebody who seemingly is a simple Jew can be a very, very great tzaddik. The Gemara talks about Abai and Rava, that they were zoiche to have a bas kol once a month, or once a week, or once a month, or once a year. And then there was a doctor who got it every day. So Abai and Rava was saying, like, what's Tutzach Dorton? We're Abai and Rava. The Rambam calls Shas the Avayas of Abai and Rava. These were made up. These great Amoraim made up the Shas. And there's a doctor who's getting every day. Why? Because he was careful with tznius in his patients. He had male and female patients, and he was very careful to separate the two and other and other holy practices that he carried out. If we want to be a makover for the Shekhinah, we want to be the 100,000, as I said, I'm looking for 100,000 women who want to clean their hearts of jealousy and sinas chinam, right? And men can also join in this campaign. Right? If we want to be those people, if we want to be somebody that after 3 years our body's still intact, then follow these holy manhagas of Moshe ben Oira, right? No jealousy, no lashon hara, no slicha b'tel and shul. Fill your mind and your heart with Torah. And then we'll also, Zrat Hashem, if our kavanah, our intentions are pure, be zoichet to great things. Hashem should help us. Amen. Kain Tiratzon.